His parents, Nigerian immigrants to America, taught him to give back in a very hands-on way.
What do you get out of giving?
It feels good. You know, it feels good to give and see other people happy. Other people are smiling. Other people are experiencing some sort of joy.
This place looks different. I mean, the tree, everything looks brighter.
Before Nnamdi was an Eagle, before he spent 8 seasons with the Oakland Raiders, this was his home in Los Angeles, California.
I mean, it was pretty cool, you know, 2-bedroom house. And for us, you know, there was a lot of us. It was like 9 people trying to make it in the 2-bedroom.
Nnamdi was raised with an older brother and 2 sisters. His mother, Lillian, and father, Godfrey, came to the U.S. from Nigeria in the early 1970s.
He came to this country with just this dream that he would be able to succeed and have a family, that he would be able to help and grow and contribute to society.
Get your education, you know, be who you want to be, go home and help or, you know, excel. That was the dream.
Nnamdi's parents both earned their doctorates. His mother became a pharmacist, his father a petroleum engineer for Texaco. Nnamdi learned the importance of education. There was always time for homework. There were also regular trips to his parents' homeland.
Growing up was fascinating, actually. We were exposed to a lot of different things and a lot of different people. Our worldview was never local. It was very global.
It's not like we were learning the American culture. When we were growing up, we were learning the Nigerian culture in America.
There was also sports. Basketball was his first passion. Nnamdi grew up at the height of the Lakers' Showtime era in LA. His Magic Johnson jersey, his favorite piece of clothing. When he was 7, at his parents' suggestion, he donated it to the needy in Nigeria.
Magic Johnson was and is my favorite all-time NBA player, so it meant a lot, but you know, I ended up giving it away. It helped somebody, so it was good.
If you ask, Nnamdi will give. That's how his life is. He watches people and he feels your feelings.
In 1993, when he was 12, Nnamdi spent a lot of time learning the game from his father.
I remember finding the Super Bowl when the Redskins played the Raiders on tape randomly in the house and putting it in. Like, you were watching football in '83 when you didn't even really know what American football was.
Their father loved football, not that he played it, but he wanted to know what it's about. I remember when he didn't know anything about football and he would sit and watch and get frustrated.
Sports were huge with him. His love of sports, I think, was a big deal, and that rubbed off a lot.
Just 1 year later, after Nnamdi started playing football, his father had a sudden heart attack and died at the age of 48.
The year was kind of like a big void. It's kind of still been like a big void, you know, just because so much happened that you don't want to remember.
The name Nnamdi means "my father lives," and after his father's death, Nnamdi dedicated himself to the game his father loved, football. Every game, every play, an opportunity to learn.
So what memories come back when you see this field?
I'm the kick returner, and I'll never forget. Get the ball, get the kick return. I think I'm off to the races. Some guy comes out of nowhere, strips the ball. They recover.
Y'all lost the game.
We lost the game.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, thanks to me. Now it'll be like a guy catches a ball, or something like that.
If you give up a catch, it's
yeah.
the end of the world.
To other people, they'll think like, oh, that's nothing. But to me, that's like, that'll get me going.
By 1999, Nnamdi was a standout high school football player in LA. He chose to play college football at Cal. There, he was an all-conference safety, graduating with a degree in corporate finance. Asomugha was selected late in the first round by the Oakland Raiders in the 2003 NFL Draft, where the commissioner mispronounced his name.
I get a different pronunciation, at least every week. The funniest one that I got, somebody called me Oguzman instead of Asomugha. Like, what? Where'd you get Oguzman from? It's like Oguzman or something. It's like, come on, man, give me a break.
The Raiders had been his father's favorite team. Nnamdi would soon become their MVP. After leading Oakland with 8 interceptions in 2006, opposing quarterbacks simply stopped throwing his way. He became a 3-time Pro Bowler. At the same time, Nnamdi was giving back. He and his mother started Orphans and Widows in Need, providing food and medicine to women and children suffering from extreme poverty and abuse in Nigeria.
So the goal with everything that we've done has just been to raise awareness, to see if that could garner more attention and help to the situation.
In 2007, Nnamdi founded the Asomugha College Tour for Scholars, called ACTS for short. Each year, he selects high-performing, low-income high school students from California that meet his GPA requirements.
We'll have 50-something students in a school send in essays, and then it'll be narrowed down to maybe like 10 or so. And then when it gets to that point, then I'll be looking at them and I'll be reading them, to sign off.
Then, Nnamdi takes them on an all-expense-paid college tour to different cities: Atlanta, Boston, and New York. The 2011 tour visited New Orleans.
Once the day starts, everybody starts going crazy. You had students that were doing really well, but then had never even been outside of the East Bay area. Started to love traveling. So I just put that together with the with the want to help those students. And so I just said, let me do something where we'll get out and get that accomplished.
One of those students is 18-year-old Amber Adams, a straight-A student from Oakland She grew up in a single-parent home with no means for a higher education. Those that know her say her mother had no interest in Amber's education. In 2010, Nnamdi chose Amber, then a junior in high school, to go to Washington, D.C.
I was ecstatic. I loved it. You know, I've never been to D.C. before. I don't know, things like that just don't happen to me.
Amber has a young brother who is autistic. For 6 years of her life, she has been his caretaker. And she never thought she could get out of this until Nnamdi came along.
Before going on this tour, I had no idea where I wanted to go. I would literally ask people, hey, where should I go to college?
Well, my most fond memory is seeing Coward because I've now decided on where I really want to apply to.
It was just a feeling that I knew it just felt like home.
Amber ultimately chose a school Nnamdi had taken her to, Howard University in Washington, D.C., where she received a full academic scholarship. She is a freshman and will graduate in 2015.
You want to be able to impact the students in a way that there was meaning behind the tour.
Has it been brought to your attention the specific impact that you've had on the young people that you've taken on these college tours?
I don't think I'm fully aware of it, just because I don't ask and I don't try to get immersed in that emotional attachment to what it's doing.
I can say that my favorite part is that I got to try so many new things. Like, I've never been bowling before, or I never got a chance to meet sorry.
What were you thinking as you were watching Amber? What does that do to you?
It's such a bigger deal than I know it to be. And I like that.
For some, the saying, "It's better to give than to receive," may be a cliche. But for Nnamdi Asomugha, it's not. It's a way of life.
When great people come around like Nnamdi, they change the paradigm. I would hope that all football players look at him and take on a challenge.
He's one of those guys who I think embodies what an American success story is. He wants to leave his footprints on this planet.
He is still the same child that I raised. He does not only make me proud, he makes my people proud.
What do you think your dad would say to you if you could see who you are today?
You know, it's what he came to America for, was for better living for all of us. And, you know, the fact that I was able to get to the point where I am and be able to help out my family and friends in the way that I can, I think would be huge. It'd be like his dream coming true.
Hey Dave, I had a nice one-on-one conversation with Nnamdi at Raiders minicamp today, and they say with people you first meet, you probably shouldn't discuss politics or religion or money, and I didn't touch on his politics or religious beliefs, but since his salary was printed in several Bay Area newspapers just a little while ago, money was the very first thing we talked about. Nnamdi Asomugha is considered the best cover corner in the league by some, and he certainly gets paid like it. Asomugha is the highest paid defensive back in the history of the NFL if you look at it per season, after signing a 2-year, $28.5 million contract this offseason.
With me, it's not about that, the money and, you know, oh, you're the highest paid, this and that. We still have to go out here and win a game, you know, and we still have to go out here and win each game, each week. So it's not the biggest deal. But when you say NFL history, then inside you're like, wow.
It is nice to see that that's settled down. I think that's a part of his life that, okay, now I can go out and try to be the best corner there is.
Being the best and that huge contract have no effect on how Asomugha approaches the game.
I never feel pressure. I don't feel pressure going into games. A lot of times I feel pressure when I don't know what I'm doing. And, for the last maybe 4 or so years that I've been here, I've known what I was doing.
Minicamp can be tedious for a player with 7 years and 2 All-Pro selections under his belt, so sometimes Asomugha breaks the monotony with some break dancing.
Minicamp is always boring. It's always boring. Training camp is always boring. You can't wait for it to end. So what I'm doing out here is trying not to get hurt.
He's also trying to continue to grow into his role as a team leader.
I guess I'm a leader just by nature, just by my actions. I think a lot of times people want me to be more vocal and, yell at guys and do that sort of thing, but it's not me. So you might be disappointed if that's what you're expecting me to do.
He's finally saying, look, this contract thing's out of the way now, and I'm going out there and going to prove what I am, and I have a responsibility to lead this football team.
And Asomugha talked about being bored there in the piece, and he gets bored during the season too, not just at minicamp or training camp. Last year, opposing quarterbacks only threw to his side of the field 27 times, and only 8 passes were completed in front of him, or 1 every other game. Jamie, let's go back to you in the studio.
Well, throughout our history, great cornerbacks have been a hallmark of the Raider organization. I'm surrounded here today by some of the greatest cornerbacks, not only in Raider history, but some of the greatest cornerbacks in the history of pro football. Willie Brown, Lester Hayes, Charles Woodson, and all of us are here today to acknowledge another great cornerback, Nnamdi Asomugha, as he retires from the NFL as an Oakland Raider. Nnamdi is a prototype Raider cornerback who excelled in man-to-man coverage. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, was named first or second team All-Pro 4 times in his career. In addition to distinguishing himself on the field, he was recognized as NFL Man of the Year in 2009 for his work in the community by his peers at the Players Association. We were proud when he called his name in the first round of the 2003 draft, and we are proud to call him a Raider today and forever. I introduce to you Nnamdi Asomugha.
It was a great day. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to be around these great Raider corners and Mark Davis here as well. Obviously, you guys know, after 11 seasons in the NFL, I will be retiring today. I've been blessed, had a fortunate, successful career in the NFL, a long career. It's been longer than I initially expected when I came into the NFL. I got a little nostalgic when I drove up, because if some of you were here when I got drafted, I came right over. I drove right over from Berkeley on that first day. And, I walked in the building and, kind of the journey started at that point. And here today, it was pretty much the same scenario. Drove up, right up to the front, got out of the car, walked in, and basically another journey is starting for me right now. Extremely grateful for Mark Davis and the Raiders organization for just bringing me back and allowing my career to come back full circle so that I could retire as an Oakland Raider the way it should be. I'm grateful for all the teams that I played for, the fans, the organizations, the front offices, the list goes on and on. Just to have the opportunity to play in the NFL, I think is the biggest dream come true for me. I'm very thankful for these men that are next to me right now. If I could go down the line, I know that Lester, I can't remember what year it started. It might have been in 06 or 2005. But Lester, I think it was every Tuesday after every game, Lester would write me a letter, and I would check my mailbox, see a letter from Lester in there telling me, what I did well in the game, what I could do better. And he just always kept a tab on me, made sure that I was leading the guys and for a great player like Lester Hayes to do that, it meant a lot for me. And, I'm forever grateful for that. And Charles Woodson, who's next to me, a guy who it's weird. I don't want to make him sound old because I'm retiring, but a guy who I kind of grew up, admiring. I think it was more so during my high school days, admiring him, and then being able to play on the same team with him briefly. I didn't play much when he was here, although I think we may have started about 5 games together, a few games together in my 3rd year. But just, the things that I learned from him, just his swagger, just the way he was able to intimidate guys before the snap, things like that, how you get into the stance, just how to exude confidence. Those are things that I'm forever grateful for from him, because I took every little piece of it, and once he left, I stepped right in and started showing that, and all of it worked. So I appreciate that, brother. Then Willie Brown. I think if any of you know me, you know that I have an appreciation for the history of the NFL. So I can sit around and talk about stats and guys that came before me forever. And I think that's what helped me the most with my relationship with Willie, because I respected what he did in the league for so long. And the fact that I was able to have Willie not only as a coach, but as a mentor, as a father figure, throughout my career, even when I left the Raiders, just calling me and talking to me, checking up on me, coaching me. The fact that I had him every single day of my career with me has just been a true blessing. And, these are family members for me, so I'm grateful that they've all been able to come here and be with me for this moment. And Mike Haynes as well, who, was very influential, a guy that I watched tape on early on in my career, first couple of years, just to learn how to play the game from a taller cornerback's perspective. That stuff is invaluable. Boy, the list goes on and on, because, I came here just wanting to speak about these guys for a moment and how they helped my career. And now that as I'm speaking, there are about 10 other names that have popped in that have helped me, but a lot of people have helped me. I'm just grateful to God for the opportunity. I think when I first came into the league, obviously there was not too many people really knew who I was. If you guys remember, when I first got here, it was definitely called a reach. And, in great Al Davis fashion, he took a reach that he believed in and instilled confidence in me like nobody else could. And I was able to, become all that he expected of me. And it just, it's tough not having him around to see this moment, because I never got the opportunity to thank him, in the way that I should have thanked him. So that's always going to stick with me a little bit.